Back to episode 18. Next morning, promise me I will see you again. Ming started into his shirt. Taehyung took a deep breath. Ming stopped saying my name like that, like I'm pitiful or something. Ming exclaimed, pushing away from him with angry eyes. Do you not want to come home? Taehyung wanted to look away from the accusing eyes, and he would been trying to avoid from the beginning, but his gaze would not waver from them. I'm scared, Taehyung admitted, not knowing how else to put. He couldn't avoid it. I'm scared. Min shouted back, tears building in her eyes. I don't want to want the same. I don't want the same thing to happen again. You just left Taehyung, not even a goodbye. Taehyung shook his freak. He didn't want to hear this. He knew this, he knew it, and it wasn't like he could turn back the clock, because given the chance he would. Now it's practically the same situation. You are here, he is out there, and I'm not going to see you again. Ming continued. The eyebrows frowned. He, Jungkook, I told you I'm temporarily staying here, Pulsili. Ming yelled, a single tear falling, finally escaping down her reddened cheeks. You look at him the same way you look at Bugam before you left. Taehyung stood stunned. His mind was trying to. She is crying, she is blaming you, your fault. Bugam, Jungkook the same, she is still crying. Jungkook. Taehyung wouldn't go back in the time if he could, because he never would have made Jeon Jungkook sickly. Taehyung moved forward and took his sister into his arm. Sickly, Taehyung moved forward and took his sister into his arm. His own eyes turned mistily. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for doing what I did, I said. Taehyung said, taking another deep breath before continuing. I'll see you again soon, I promise. Alright, if you need more assurance, just have Jungkook put your phone number into his cell. His cells too. Just give me time, alright? The words came out in a jubbly mess. If they acted like this in front of anyone else but his sister, he probably be downright humiliated. But Taehyung felt that maybe his sister deserved to see him fall apart just a little. Ming cupped his into his shirt, hugging Taehyung for a little while longer before she nodded. Taehyung hadn't felt so relieved in a very long time. He pulled back quickly, wiping the tears from his own eyes before clenching. Now you just look ugly. Calm down. Taehyung spoke with a smile. Ming glared at him, though the move was completely avoid of milk, and wiped the tears from her sleeves. Ming said, with her eyes still hidden behind her arms. Love you too, Taehyung said softly. See you soon, Ming asked, finally looking up at him. She looked better, but there were still traces on her face telling that she would been crying. Yeah, Taehyung agreed, opening the door for her. Ming gave him one and last half-hearted wave before starting down the hallway. Jeon is joined Seoul and Jungkook to go back. Taehyung watched her until she walked out of the sight. He promptly shut the door and fell back against it, sliding down until his butt hit the floor. He crossed his arm over his knees and laid his forehead on them, letting out a sicky sigh. Dear God, he had just promised to back to his family sometime soon, and they realized that he was in love with Jungkook. Jeon Hobie started his everyday normal routine of getting all necessary documents together to take to Jungkook's office. He marched into said office just as Jungkook himself was hanging up his coat, and then Mr. Jeon had vaulted in with a rather surprising um, announcement. You are not working today. You have exactly 45 minutes to get to the other side of town before you will be considering late for your arranged date with Raya. Mr. Jian said to Jungkook. What arranged date? Jungkook asked through clenching teeth, hoping upon every star in the universe that his father had not done what Jungkook was thinking. I took the liberty of setting up an arranged date for you. Considering the circumstances, I hope it will knock some senses onto your head, Mr. Jian exclaimed, calmly choosing to ignore the fact that Jungkook was absolutely livid. Raya was very happy by the way. I would hate for you to be late and upset him. Mr. Jian added more. You set it up without my consent. You knew I didn't. Jungkook yelled, stopping himself and taking a deep breath. Now Jungkook would have to apologize to Raya for his father's complete stupidity and even worse, break Raya's heart. Jungkook always liked him. How was he going to admit this was a mistake? You can go to heck, Jungkook continued, grabbing the jacket he had just hung up. I hope you know this isn't going to change a damn thing. Mr. Jian was rather outraged himself by Jungkook's comment, but he stood tall until Jungkook stormed out of the room. Hobie jumped, yeah. I'm going out as well. Tell Seokjin to take my calls, Mr. Jian said, walking out of the room. Hobie blinked before walking out after him. You both going to be gone? Hobie asked. Unsure. Haven't been gone for long. I just need to take care of something, Mr. Jian stated, not even turning around to look at Hobie as he walked out. Jungkook inwardly ventured as he stood in front of Raya's father, the man who had worn a warm smile upon Jungkook's arrival, now looked rather discomforted standing in his own living room. Mr. Lee had hardly even got to welcome Jungkook in their home before Jungkook had taken control of conversation and admitted that this entire meeting was a mistake, that he had not been informed of this but 45 minutes ago, and that Jungkook was terribly sorry for stirring up any trouble it might have caused. I'm little confused, Mr. Jian confessed, cupping his hands together in front of him. Mr. Jian said that this was your idea. The cook's face was strained. I have no doubt that he would have say such thing. However, my father is not exactly the most trustworthy person in Korea. Jungkook spoke calmly. Mr. Lee's brow frowned, and Jungkook knew what was coming before his lips even opened. Oh, come on, I'm sure this was a misunderstanding. I have known your father for years, boy, Mr. Lee assured. Either way, Mr. Lee, please call me Sangji. Mr. Lee insisted, as if the fact that this whole meeting was a mistake had completely gone overhead. Jungkook felt uncomfortable to do so. I'm truly sorry to take your time like this, but if I could. Jungkook was stopped by a look over Raya. Raya came in the living room all dressed up. Jungkook took a deep breath and returned the smile he got from Raya. I know it's custom for us to sit down first, but may I ask to take her for a walk in the garden? Jungkook asked politely, looking back at Mr. Lee. Of course, Mr. Lee exclaimed, all for perspective of this man marrying his daughter. Even though the situation was him. Soon Jungkook and Raya came to the garden. They have some talk and work about work life and all until Raya asked Jungkook, "Do you by chance already have someone who catch your eyes?" Jungkook glances her with a rather unreadable expression before he turned away, leaning backward with the support of his hands. "Not sure about catch my friends, but someone interesting," Jungkook replied, looking contemplative. Raya's gaze slid to her lap. "Can I assume your father doesn't like her?" Considering he said this up, Jungkook flashed her a smile. "It's a bit more complicated than that, but you are pretty sharp," Jungkook commented. A dull edge settling in Raya's chest. "I am rather curious what kind of girl managed to capture the heart of the likes of you." Blush raced across Jungkook's features. Isn't that?" Jungkook started looking confused about how to continue the conversation. "I just said interesting. Where did this capture the heart of thing came into play?" "Blushing an awful lot over someone interesting," Raya observed, and despite the situation, found it comical when the blush darkened. "So, why doesn't your father like her?" "I suppose he seems like a tough nut to crack," Raya asked. Jungkook nodded. "Don't even know the half of it," Jungkook replied dryly. "You can always marry me and not deal with the mess," Raya said. Jungkook suddenly looked troubled. "Raya." "Seymour, no more," Raya exclaimed, holding up a hand. She then stood, brushing off the back of her kimono and turning to Jungkook with reassuring eyes. "It's done from now on. You are the simply a guest here at my house and I am your host. I would love you to stay for lunch. We were already preparing quite a feast anyway." I determined that the smile Jungkook gave her made it all worth it. Han had just finished chatting with a resident of hotel about the opening and closing time of their cafe when the front doors opened. Han had only glanced their way. Residents came and out often, and newcomers usually came in with luggage. Workers lodging their luggage behind them. Han had to do a double take when it was neither of two. Mr. Jeon strode in, staring straight ahead as he walked. There wasn't a single ounce of hesitation in his moving body, proof that he knew exactly where he was going. "Jeon went to work this morning, didn't he? What is his father doing here?" And thought, furrowing his eyebrows as Mr. Jeon stopped in front of the elevator. Within seconds, the door opened. It seems Jimin, the bellboy, was surprised to see the man as well, catching Han's eyes as for a split seconds before the doors closed inside the elevator. Jimin looked torn between not saying anything at all or asked why Mr. Jeon was here. He wasn't even sure if Mr. Jeon knew about him. That surely wouldn't be a nice surprise for the business tycoon. After a moment of contemplation, however, Jimin realized that it was not his place to ask and stayed silent. When Mr. Jeon made it way to Jungkook's floor, he stepped out of the elevator, passing a maid. Jenny blinked and looked over her shoulder before turning to Jimin. In confusion, Jimin shrugged. Mr. Jeon didn't quite know why, but it felt like eyes had been on him since he stepped foot in the hotel. Sure, he was a well-known man who was sure to get attention, but this was feeling sort of creepy. Shaking off the absurd thought, he solidly rapped on the door. to Jungkook's hotel room. Taehyung was lying on the couch with a box of chocolate cookies sitting on his stomach. He hadn't been very productive today, lazing around the hotel room and blindly watching a mute television. But his brain actually was going wild, and how could his mind not be fragile when Ming had made Tang realize something extremely important just hours early? The Raven cursed walk again. He wanted the bonnet here, especially since Taehyung hadn't gotten to touch him yesterday. He was already missing the hooded mocha eyes and deep baritone voice, the warm and soothing body heat and skin. He saw Jungkook's face, then looking straight at him, yawning as Jungkook leaned closer. Damn it, Ming, Taehyung thought with a pout, even as he but even as he pouted, he felt giddy. Without a doubt, Jungkook had wanted to kiss him last night. That had to mean something. Taehyung wondered if he should finally give in and call Minho. Taking Jungkook's advice wouldn't be so bad. He was feeling rather alone in this room by himself, but the idea of Minho's reaction to Taehyung's confession of love was something that made the Raven frown. The younger man would probably shove it in his face or try to drag Taehyung back to his place promptly. While Taehyung was still contemplating Minna's reaction, there was a knock on the door. Taehyung was surprised when there was no voice after it. The staff at the hotel always announced themselves through the door. Jungkook came right in. Maybe Minho had snuck his way up. Setting his box of key on the coffee table, Taehyung hoisted himself up and showed to the door. Taehyung straightened in displeasure when he saw who was on the other side. Why is he here? Taehyung's mind screamed. However, he stood his ground, not even bothering to say a word of greeting as he appreciatively stared at his guest. He could tell Mr. Jeon was annoyed with his silence. Was it? Mr. Jeon finally began, bringing his hand up to gesture at the man in front of him. Jungkook isn't here. Taehyung responded, crossing his arms. Mr. Jeon offered a cute, cutting smile. I know my son is on a date with Raya as we speak. Mr. Jeon replied, pausing for a cruel second to let that sink into the Raven's brain. I actually came here to speak with you. It took a moment for the words to register. At that moment, fear crept into Taehyung's heart and dug its claves in deep. It was a sharp pain that was merely blood by the urgency of realizing he was still in front of Mr. Jeon and the stubbornness that had got him this far refused to dissipate. Why would you want to talk to me? Asked, tapping the fingers against his arm in what he hoped to be an impatient gesture. Really, he was nervous. A date? What the heck had that come from? And who the heck was Lee Raya? Taehyung was trying his hardest not to jump to conclusion, but his muddly mind was against him, continuously whispering, "Not again." Mr. Jeon was not deterred by that lack of emotion and pushed on. I assured you it wouldn't take long, though I would rather have this conversation without prying eyes. Mr. Jeon started glancing around at the public hallway for added effect. So, we will you act like you have manners and let me inside? Taehyung's fingers to grab hold to the door and slam it in his face. There was a silence, a very silence. With a sharp inhale, Taehyung stood to the side, not even looking at the other man. Mr. Jeon rashly walked inside, showing his hands in his pocket and looking around as if he were on the stroll in the I hope you haven't gotten used to all this luxury. Mr. Jeon spoke, then walked back over to his couch and plopped down on the couch cushions, tensed. Just say whatever the freak you want to say and get out. Things said, Nestle grabbing hold of the brocade box. Mr. Jian asked and said, I don't even know how he even stand people like you. Mr. Jian responded with his nose wrinkled in disgust. Then bristled at that road insert, but he forced himself to calm down, taking a hold out of the chocolate stick. Taehyung just wanted this man to leave, so he figured it best to not start an argument that would make Mr. Jeon stay longer. Alright, came Taehyung. Mr. Jeon started, his voice pure business as he approached the couch. I know this lover business is completely untrue, and after digging for some information, I know that who are you? In fact, Havo. So don't try to play games with me. How much he is paying you to stay here? Taehyung flinched. It hurts. It hurt to be reminded that being lover was just a scam, and that no matter how close Jungkook and Tae had gotten within these past few days, the fact remained that Taehyung was living here because he was being paid to. With a sudden thick thought, Taehyung had difficulty swallowing. Why the heck? What the freak do you care? Taehyung answered, glaring dagger at the suit-clad man. We continue. And before you read next episode that I'm going to release tomorrow, I wanna warn you all that in the next episode there is going to be some uncomfortable scenes, like thing is going to be forced by Mr. Jeon and all. So if you wouldn't like it, so don't read the next episode, or you can read it. I will give you warning before the scene is started, and uh, after it finish, so that you can escape the particular scene. Okay, so see you again with the next episode. Bye bye.